And then you hire a cleaning company with multiple cleaners, and one of them hides away in the janitor's closet for hours per day.
I don't know if you've heard this story before. This is a complaint that we got from a local cleaning company. Well, it was actually from a company that we're bidding on their building. And there was a cleaning company north of Indianapolis in the city that came out and was servicing them. And one of their workers on site, and we're not going to give any names away, that's not what we're about, but one of the workers would just hide away in the janitor's closet. And they knew they were there because their car was out front. I remember them telling us this story, and my mind was just blown. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cleaning Indie podcast, brought to you by American Facility Care. I'm your host, Tom Moore, and this is our co-host, Sarah Moore, and we like to talk about all things facility and building related. Are you a facilities director or property manager, or even the point person in charge of your building? If so, then this podcast is for you. Well, how's everyone's day going? We have an interesting story to tell. You had an interesting day this week.
Yeah, I was heading out to Greencastle to visit some clients and deliver some supplies to an account. And I got stuck on the interstate for about 2.5 hours. It was basically a parking lot, but I was able to get some work done, some emails returned, and thankfully the client and the employees understood. So I made it there. But yeah, it was kind of a crazy long wait on the highway. Everybody's getting out and trying to figure out what was going on, but it ended up being a semi hitting another semi and opening up the inside, and it, like, all the stuff just falling out of the semi onto the road. Everybody was fine. But just a big old mess that had to get cleaned up.
Big old mess. And you were on your way to do a well check to one of our clients, which you do each week, right, and deliver some supplies and just kind of do a walkthrough.
Kind of do an inspection, check in with the client, see how things are going, which we like to do, like Tom said, once a week.
Yeah. So we're going to talk today about how to effortlessly, even though your week wasn't that effortless, how to effortlessly transition to a new cleaning vendor. And also what we're going to talk about today could apply to any vendor that you have, whether it's a HVAC vendor or lawn care, snow removal. These points are applicable to really all vendors in your company that you might hire.
So we're going to go ahead and start with point number 1. And the first one is you feel the pain. And some of our most common pain points could be...
Some of the most common pain points, as you said, could be that the cleaners aren't showing up on their scheduled day to clean. What's interesting about each of these, we have only 4 listed here. Each of these has actually happened in some of the buildings that we've been in and taken over. So these are literally actual stories that have taken place. And this one was a daycare that we took over several years ago. And I remember them telling us in the walkthrough that their biggest problem, when I asked them, was that every Friday, their cleaner wouldn't show up. Interesting thing about daycares too is they're mandated by the state of Indiana to be cleaned every day and have certain things cleaned at certain times. For instance, in the kitchen, you can't leave food out beyond a couple hours past when you serve it, the time that you serve it. And the trash has to be taken out. So, I mean, think about it. When they didn't show up on Friday for 6 weeks in a row until we finally took over for them, they just weren't getting their trash taken out. They weren't getting their facility cleaned at all. Yeah.
That actually happened in another account. I don't know if you know which, but their cleaner, they had 2 cleaners. One part of the building was getting cleaned, but the other part was just not getting cleaned. And it was restrooms and things like that. And they had to call us in for an emergency clean. And it took several hours to get that place back up to par before we could even just start cleaning it regularly.
Is this a pain point that you've experienced in your building? We hate that you do, but it does happen. The next pain point that happens all too commonly is corporate makes a site visit and notices dirt in your building. That's a big one that happens far too often. We've been in several buildings. Again, one in particular, they have a couple locations in the central Indianapolis area. And one was located downtown. So somebody from their downtown headquarters was coming to their other building, and the CEO of the company was talking to a manager, and he set his hand on top of a partition and pulled it back and noticed that it was just black with dirt on top of the partition. And that was a big problem. The manager of that company did not like it. They just gave each other a look. And then from that moment on, they were on a search for a new cleaning company. Happens all too often.
Right. Another point would be you hire from a staffing agency and no one is there to train or inspect or manage the cleaner. I think oftentimes we think cleaning it's self-explanatory, but really there needs to be a routine. There needs to be procedures that people need to follow. Sometimes walking into a building, you think, I know how to clean. I clean my house. But when you walk into a gigantic building and you see it, it becomes overwhelming. And we're a company, we know how to efficiently clean and do things in a way that's going to get the job done in a timely manner and not be overwhelming. But when someone just comes in and you say clean, that can really, they might not know exactly what to do.
This particular individual had no idea what to do with his time. The company that ended up hiring us said that he would sit down and just start breaking down cardboard boxes, which was one of the things on their list. But he spent hours doing it. And so part of the benefit to hiring or outsourcing your cleaning to a cleaning company is they're going to have the management that's their main thing. That's the only thing they do all day is manage cleaning workers. And so your workers at your business, they're not going to have time to manage people that you might hire from a staffing agency. And that was one of the pain points that this particular company had. We're going to train, we're going to inspect, and we're going to manage the cleaner for you.
And then you hire a cleaning company with multiple cleaners, and one of them hides away in the janitor's closet for hours per day.
I don't know if you've heard this story before. This is a complaint that we got from a local cleaning company. Well, it was actually from a company that we're bidding on their building. And there was a cleaning company north of Indianapolis in the city that came out and was servicing them. And one of their workers on site, and we're not going to give any names away, that's not what we're about, but one of the workers would just hide away in the janitor's closet. And they knew they were there because their car was out front. I remember them telling us this story, and my mind was just blown. But those are 4 common pain points that we've literally heard from our clients or potential customers as we do walkthroughs through their building. These are very common. So let us know, what are your pain points with cleaning companies that you've had in the past or that you have currently now, and share those with us.
So I guess the next thing you would do is you're going to search Google. Google's like, I think everybody searches Google for everything.
These are very simple points. I have pain, I go to Google. We do that with
my leg hurts. Yeah. Google the symptom.
Now ChatGPT can just, come up with a diagnosis.
Google tells you that your leg's going to fall off. But with cleaning, you can definitely Google and you'll get the janitorial service companies near me, office janitorial services.
Yeah. And then for our particular website, a lot of our traffic are from Google My Business, I should say. We broke down 38% of our traffic comes from a desktop Google search. And 37%, very close behind the desktop, is mobile. So most people are finding us still on their desktop computer at work, from what it sounds like. We do get a lot of people on the weekend reach out to us. It's Friday. They went through a whole week of experiencing pain points, and they know that they have to make a change and present something. They just found
their janitor in the closet.
Still in the closet, and they have to come up with a remedy by Monday. So a lot of times they'll reach out on mobile to us on the weekend. And then you have Google Maps. That accounts for 14% of people that have reached out. This is just stats from the last month from our Google My Business, and then 11% desktop.
So number 3 is you make the call or book online. And we have a scheduling service called Calendly, which makes it simple. You choose the day and the time that works for you.
What our website actually says, I'll just read a little bit from it. We look forward to meeting with you at a time of your choosing, and we'll discuss your cleaning needs, whether you need ongoing janitorial cleaning, carpet tile, or window cleaning. We have it covered. And one thing I want to highlight here is this literally is a no pressure, no obligation meeting. We want to learn more about your company and what your cleaning needs are. That's one of the biggest things that we do. And we're going to talk about this here in a second, is we show up and we listen to what your needs are. Our goal literally is to make your experience with our company as easy and pain-free as possible, because we know, as we've discussed, there are pain points that you're experiencing, and we want to eliminate those and definitely not add to those pain points.
Well, number 4, you can schedule a site visit. And I think that's a really important thing. It sometimes sounds like a hassle. It's great to get us in there and you can show the vendor what you need done. They can look at it in real time, see the places that are really driving you crazy, that are really getting under your skin, and be able to really understand your pain and look at you eye to eye and talk to you about what we supply and what we do.
Yeah, there's really 2 ways that we want to hear from you when we're listening. We want to hear your current issues, of course, your past issues, but really what's going on today that needs addressed regarding your cleaning of maybe even different spaces that you have in your building. And then what are your high priority items? This is important because you want to definitely communicate this to any potential vendor coming in. What are the high priority items in your building? I'll give you a quick example. In one of the buildings, I think last week we actually mentioned that they have dogs in their facility, and there was dog hair getting on their hardwood floors, the staircases and landings specifically. And that was a high priority. They emphasized that in our walkthrough. We're going to talk in a minute about what we do with that information as we continue on.
We also calculate the building square footage. And if you have a building schematic to send us, we find it helpful, but not necessary. We can calculate it without it, but hey, the schematic makes it a little bit easier.
That's right.
And then we go on to number 5, you receive a cleaning analysis and proposal.
Yeah, this is a document that's going to range between 10 and 15 pages. It's going to include the introductory letter, general information about us. The important part is the scope of work, which are the detailed list of items that you want us to clean in your building. And no worries if you don't have that list available, we'll create that for you. And then you can just cut out what you don't want or add in what you do want. It's an easy process.
It's a very important one too, because I think a lot of times people are like, well, aren't you supposed to do this or that? You know, one time one of our cleaners was confused because someone said she needed to move a piece of furniture and clean underneath it. She thought that seemed a little extreme. So she called me and I said, oh no, that's just someone who doesn't know the scope of work. And so when you've gotten together and you've worked out what the scope of work is, it makes it so easy to know what we're supposed to do and if we've gotten it done.
That's a really good point, because many times, or oftentimes, there are multiple managers or layers of management within companies that it helps everyone, including the frontline cleaner, be on the same page. Managers in our business, managers in your business, and our frontline cleaners know exactly what's happening. Another important item that's included in this document that we send you is really a detailed analysis of many times extra services that are overlooked. We talked last week about dusting HVAC surfaces, carpet cleaning, window cleaning, hard floor tile waxing, hard floor cleaning. And we add that in there as a possibility and give you a price for those individual services. Then we also have, your terms and cancellation policies and a place to sign. We include our references from other properties and buildings that we clean. And then we also include our insurance certificate as well as other certification documents that we have. And then there's a place where we sign it. And then we move on
to number 6. You choose the starting date and we show up on the scheduled start date at the appropriate time.
Something takes place on the very first day that's really important. One of us as owners shows up for the first week while we're on site. We want to ensure that 4 things take place. These are very important things. The first one is we want to make sure that the employees who are cleaning, the frontline workers, are comfortable with your building layout, the security procedures, setting the alarm, and closing procedures.
We also want to make sure that we properly convey to our cleaners the issues that matter to you. We've had a meeting with you, we've talked to you, and now we're making sure our cleaners understand all the points that you got across to us.
Yeah, in the same way that you conveyed it to us through the walkthrough, going back to that dog hair situation, we were able to successfully communicate that with our frontline cleaners. And there was also another couple items in that building that were important to our clients to make sure that they happened.
Yeah.
And so we were able to make sure that that happened in the first week and going forward.
I just trained someone this week and there was a very important room to this building that we were cleaning, and I had to convey that very well across to the cleaner. We spend extra time in here. It's used a lot. It gets crumbs in it constantly. So you have to really watch for it. So that's just a pain point for that client that we need to really focus in on. So I was working with the employee to help her learn that as she was starting at this new property.
And part of that had to do with the timing of when that room in that particular building got cleaned. Another thing that we do is we have all needed cleaning equipment and cleaning supplies on site. So if there's something that we know that your building needs that we didn't think of during the walkthrough, that's the time we're going to realize, hey, this piece of equipment is very useful for your facility, whether it's a auto scrubber or a certain type of vacuum cleaner. We're going to ensure that that's on site for our cleaners to have success.
The biggest one, number 7, you receive ongoing inspection reports. We're going in, like I said, once a week, and we're checking on our employees, and we will be conveying inspection reports. It might not be every week. It might be once a month, but we will be conveying, hey, we're coming in and we're checking up. Our cleaners are excellent workers. They're high quality people, but everybody misses things once in a while because we're not perfect. We're not machines.
Yeah. And our cleaners actually appreciate when we tell them this. They like it because we aren't just throwing them in a building and saying, well, good luck. They have a checklist checklist on their app that we use, and they have everything there that they need as far as equipment and supplies. And there's ways for them to order new supplies through the app as well. And so it's all there for them. And the big thing too is we're going to regularly and consistently show up to ensure that all the items on the scope of work are getting done.
Mm-hmm. Also, we ensure they're cleaning according to specific hygienic practices and standards. We're going to observe them. We're going to make sure that things are being done the way that they should be done in the way that we've trained them. And if we find some way where maybe they aren't hitting those standards, we're not just going to tell them, we're going to show them again and go through a process of retraining them if that's necessary.
Yeah. And some final thoughts real quickly. When choosing a vendor, maybe a cleaning company for your building or any other type of vendor, you want to find one that's committing to having long-term relationships with you. And really want to also stress the importance of communication.
I think it's something that honestly, it keeps things from becoming problems, because if you're in communication with people, you can anticipate their needs or know their needs before they even get to the point where there's a problem. And also the inspections help with that too. But constant communication, like with any relationship, is definitely the key to a productive and long-lasting relationship.
Yeah, and specifically the relationship between the point person or facility director or office manager and our representative, your account manager. If you need them to come out that day and have a discussion, or even the next day, they should be willing to have a free schedule to come out. That's important for that relationship, to come out same day or next business day and resolve any problems or even address new problems that arise. Oftentimes buildings expand and they add on, and there's more development, or there's flows that change, or new offices that are being used that previously weren't used. And so they need to communicate that. And so you need a representative that's willing to free up their schedule and come out and have those conversations with you.
Mm-hmm. You need flexible people that are willing to work with you, because not everything follows a straight line and is exactly the same all the time. So communication and flexibility are incredibly important.
That's right. All right. Well, if you like what you're hearing and you want to learn more, leave us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast, whether it's on Apple, Google, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to this podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. If you'd like to learn more, visit our website at cleaningindeed.com. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.